Hey everybody, Adam and Frank back with another episode of the Bowhunter Chronicles with a special guest on the line tonight from COVID Lockdown Central, John Boersma. You may know him from the Bowhunter Chronicles podcast. How are you doing tonight, John?
I'm doing well now.
Yeah, this has been just the biggest clusterfuck that you can even imagine. Like everything's all set up. Frank and I are sitting here 6 feet apart. John's on quarantine. He's got uh, somebody living with him that he's real concerned about as far as their health and not catching the virus. So he's been keeping his distance. Um, so what have you been up to, John?
Uh, I'm doing a honeydew list, actually. I knocked 5 off and 6 more show up. So, but
So
working in the garage. I've been trying to get some turkey arrows built. I did go for a hike today up in the dunes with my wife, so that was pretty cool. But other than that, just laying low.
yeah, I wanted to go through kind of our plans for turkey season and how the things are going to be changing here if nothing changes as far as like the way the life situation is. But um, what I wanted to talk about is, like I said on the intro of the last podcast, that was our 100th podcast, and that kind of slipped by us. So from Frank and from John's perspective, like, what do you guys think from where we started and how this whole thing started to kind of where we're at today? And it's been over 2 years of doing this, very regularly. So what's your take on that, John?
Well, it's kind of it seems odd that we're at 100. It don't seem that like it's been that long, but I mean, and you do most of the talking, but it's taken me about 98 episodes to get loosened up enough to actually do some speaking. But no, it's been good. I we met a lot of people, and you know, I just it's been great actually. I mean, what about you, Frank?
Well, I think the whole thing, like you say, it's kind of surreal as far as all the people we've met and everything, and the some of the opportunities that we get through this the podcast, and I just enjoy meeting all the guys, and gals and stuff. I mean, it's a pretty incredible deal. I never thought it was going to carry out, like it is, but. A lot of people know me now, and
That's for sure.
they might not have known me before, but they do now. So I think that's a cool thing.
So, John, I guess because you've done more of the episodes, what's been your favorite episode, or like what the experience to this point that's kind of been the one that stuck with you the most thus far? Would you say?
Well, I know like talking to Walt, talking fishing, uh, that's that comes to mind. Of course, I'm not just the archer; I'm also an angler. But like Frank, but I mean, I mean, thinking back now, I mean, 100 episodes, holy cow! I mean, we've talked to a lot of people. Like talking to, um, you know, Trent from Born and Raised. That was a really good one. Getting ready to go out west. Uh, you know, there's been a lot of them. I mean that I really enjoyed. And then there's been some that I didn't have a whole lot to talk about. I mean, but that's what we have you for, Adam.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose that that could be the case. For some, I'd say.
Well,
Um,
you have a legit line of questioning, coming into each one. You already know what you're going to say. You know what I mean? And we're kind of ad libbing. That's kind of the deal.
Well, I take things from the perspective of um, the listener, right? So I always want to look and say, what are the things that the listener would want to know? Who would the listener want to hear from, or what questions do they have? Because I don't. I mean, the reason that this whole thing came about was our conversations, John, right? And the you know, a lot of people don't have a hunting mentor, and that's one of the things I've learned a lot through this podcast is there's a lot of people out there that are, just starting out or that just, I think we tend to look at everything from the people that are doing more than we are, but we don't look at necessarily people that are not quite to where we're at yet. Like I say, it to some guys it probably seems like a kick in the dick. Like when I say like, "Oh, I'm the world's worst bow hunter," but I'm killing deer, and then we talk to some guys that are like, well, I've never killed a buck, or I've never killed a deer with my bow, or I've only been hunting for 2 years, or something like that, and um, that's kind of the way that I try to look at everything is so when I come in with questions, I look at guys who I want to pick their brain or things like that, and that's kind of what is great about having you two is that having all of the knowledge that you guys have, and for all the deer that you've killed, Frank, and all of the passion for the tinkering and other stuff like that, John. And not to say that you haven't killed deer, but it's just that Frank's been hunting for longer than we've been alive, so he's had more opportunities, right? So
I would certainly hope so. I mean, for crying out loud,
but so that, yeah, when I want to talk with somebody, or when I want to talk to a guest, it's like, well, what information can I get personally, and then what can I do, for our our guest or our listener? What can I bring to the table for them? What information do I think is relevant outside of we don't really talk to people just about pushing gear and shit like that. And
well, and I think what it is what Johnny was trying to say is you ask the pertinent questions. You know what I mean? You ask you have kind of like a guideline that you're going to follow to each person that you interview, and I think it's a very good trait that you have, and you're very good at it, and I enjoy that, the way you question people, or you have that ability to ask the next question.
yeah, well, and I appreciate that. I think that comes from kind of what I do for work, just in the sense of that, like people don't want to talk about themselves,
Right.
for the most part. So, I mean, whether it's like, have you been taking your medicine? How many times a day do you take a shit? Stuff like that. Like if you
Well, you ask me that all the time, though. I mean,
well, that's a pertinent question. And
or did you shit today?
or did you just shit? But yeah, people are always going to answer the easy one. They're always going to say yes or no.
Right.
So
Right.
you have to have a something that you're trying to get out of them and let the conversation go, where it's going to be. I think that'll really kind of stick with Walt there, John. That you said that was one of your favorite podcasts, but I think that's one of the things that the listeners and especially the Patreons have said, through this whole thing is, especially like on the episode that we did just recently with Travis, he's like, man, John won't shut up. People were posting the things of the videos and saying, John's, I've never heard him talk this much in his life.
Yeah, that was another. That one was super recent, obviously, but that was a really good one too. Talking with Travis, talking gears, just geeking out on the target stuff is what really, I guess that's what I get into. So I guess our listeners know when it's something that I have a real passion for, or not just, I'm not downplaying all the other stuff, but I guess more knowledge or,
You're more the tech,
Yeah.
the tech guy.
Right. I'm the tech geek, I
Right.
guess.
Right. Well, I mean, there's things that you know about my bow that I haven't got a freaking clue, you know. And just like you did over at the club that you know, when we were shooting yet, you said you checked your timing in lately, or have you checked your bow lately? And I go, well, yeah, I look at it. Yeah, it's still there, you know. Well, and what was the deal, John? What was the deal with my bow?
Well, she was a little out of time. You know, I mean, you got the bow brand new last fall. You got it set up. It was set up by someone that knows what they're doing, and so you know that it was set up right. But over time of shooting and going out on your Western tour that you guys did,
Right.
getting mud all over and everything,
Oh, yeah.
and then shooting as much as we have over the winter,
Yep.
Your bow's things are gonna change, and so
It was something that I just
like,
neglected, you know. I you know, thought, you know, it's still shooting good, you know, but it wasn't really. It was shooting okay, but it wasn't shooting, you know, spots, you know.
right.
Well, I think that's one
it
thing
was-
that I took away from you, John, and we've talked about it in a couple other podcasts, and I think that exactly right there, what Frank is talking about, that instance right there is where I would always be like, I'm the problem. It's not my equipment. You know what I mean?
right.
Where and we give Frank a bunch of shit about the way that he shoots and double clutching and this and that and the other thing. Well, he's just saying, oh well, that was me, and go ahead and shoot his bow through the paper, and it's a 6-inch tear. So
Yeah.
Right. And that's the thing, where, sometimes you guys get at me like, well, you're thinking with your bow a lot. Well, yeah, I have bad days too, but then there's sometimes when it's like, I know there's something up that something has changed with the bow.
Right.
Something just don't feel right. Like, I had my bow tuned for shooting with my beard, and certain facial pressure. And then when I switched over to my, I took my target bow, which anyone that's listened to the podcast knows I switched over from my hunting bow to my target bow for indoor leagues because my shoulder was giving me issues. So I switched from my 80-pound hunting bow to my 60-pound limb target bow. But I took my old hunting arrows and the rest and all that stuff and put it on it. So basically, it's just a funny looking riser hunting bow. Well, the shafts that I had for that were actually for 70 pounds, so they're a little bit too stiff. So I really had to work on it and get it tuned in right, perfect to get those stiffer shafts flying right out of that bow. And so, and especially with my beard, I had to shave, I shaved my beard off, and that changed it a little bit as well. So I ended up having to, change the shims on my lower cam, and got it shooting, bullet holes again with a bare shaft. But those are just, that's the stuff that I geek out on. But yeah, with Frank's situation, yeah, we kind of give Frank some shit, and
kind of.
Kind of give me some shit.
All right, but then there's all. I mean, we know Frank can shoot just as good as we can at any given day, and then like the one night he shot like half of his normal in the first half, and then the second half he come back and doubled it, and I was like, well, what the hell happened there? I mean, so I think at that point you're kind of found out where you should be aiming. Like, okay, my pin isn't on. When I aim, when my pin is on the target and I'm shooting, it's off.
Right.
I mean, I remember you're always switching stuff. Well, if I aim down here, then I'm hit.
Right.
Well, that's something's off with the bow then. So we got it figured out.
Oh, yeah.
And then we got into the lockdown. So.
Yeah, so we can't shoot. Well, we can shoot, but
So with you and the dinking around, messing around with your bows, doing all that stuff, now, what have you been doing right now to get ready for turkey season, because you've sent me some videos and you've got the Tacticam mounted on your bow. You've got your arrows built, and Frank said you already fucked up your heads again.
Yeah.
Oh, he's shooting them into trousers, man. I mean, what's up with that?
So what have you been doing getting ready for this? And this is so odd because, like I said, we would always see each other at least once a week to shoot at the club,
Right.
and then to podcast, and then and now it's just through the glass. It's just through Zoom. It's just through whatever. So this is odd.
Right. So I think it was Monday when we did the Zoom with some of our Patreons, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I had ordered some new turkey arrows. I just ordered 3 arrows, and I ordered 3 Easton Axis shafts, the 260s, and because I'm running full length shafts for the heads that I'm using, and it's the Magnus bullhead. Well, I ordered the shafts, then I ordered some Fusion 4-inch vanes. I ordered a Bowmar nose button, which I haven't put that on the bow yet. And hang on a sec. I closed the door here. And so I did get 1 arrow built, but I want to do. Can you hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay, it was just flashing weird. So anyway, I did get 1 arrow built, and I was just kind of doing some, quick. I just wanted to see how it was going to fly and stuff. And those Magnus bullheads are 125 grains, so I've got some 125 grain field tips out. I shot it through the paper a couple times. I didn't need to do much. It was actually those shafts that are full length. They're 34 inches, and so they were breaking down a little bit too much. So I ended up, once I got the wraps on the back and the vanes, it helped, I guess alleviate some of that. I did put a little bit of a twist on the left side, got it shooting bullet holes. So then I wanted to go out and just kind of do a quick sight in with that bullhead. Well, I hung a pillow and I put a ratchet strap between a couple trees, hung a pillow, and then I put an old pair of work pants on top of that just so it wouldn't cut through the pillow. And that's kind of that's what I did before, and that's what they suggest, a hanging target, so it's got some give to it. Well, I got back 15 yards, and very first shot, it blew 2 of the blades right off and bent the 3rd one. It's like, son of a bitch. And I turned the poundage down too. That was the other thing. I took about 3 cranks out of the poundage, so it's not 60 pounds anymore. It's probably 57 or so, and that's what really helped get that bullet hole there. And then, so I'm like, man, I just wrecked 3 blades already. So I went in, got another head, and I took the old work pants off the front of the pillow and put it on the back side. And I got back to 20 yards, first shot, bent. So I'm like, well, I'm done with new heads. I'm just going to keep shooting that. They just bent them back. They're not twisted or anything. So I probably shot another, half dozen times, ended up blowing right through the pillow, and that's when I was done. But I got it sighted in. I just had to move my pin. It was kind of, I think it was sailing high a little bit, maybe 2 inches in 20 yards. But
Didn't you do the same thing last year though too to the pants? With one of
that was 2 years
heads?
ago.
Oh, yeah.
When my dogs come in to see me. Yeah, I shot into a pair of blue jeans, but that was with my 70-pound bow.
Right.
And yeah, It definitely doesn't like that. I mean, and of course, this arrow too, a full length Easton Axis 260 at 11.3 or whatever it is. It's like a 660 grain arrow, so it's huge.
So you're shooting a locomotive out there.
The rancher would be happy with me, I guess. So,
and that's your turkey arrow.
This is my turkey arrow. Yeah. No, I mean 34 inches though, so it's a big stick.
So, what is your plans for turkey season right now? Have you? So you're on. You. When was the last time you were out of the house? I guess. Like into the world.
I've been out of the house quite a bit. Like I said, today we went out and hiked the dunes at Lake Michigan. My wife and I, and I've been driving around just trying to, see birds, but
road hunting.
Yeah, like my old man's favorite thing to do was to go and we used to call it Arkansas.
God, he was special, wasn't he, John? He was a special dude.
But I don't know. I mean, hopefully, my season starts in 10 days or 12 days.
Yeah.
So I don't think we're still gonna be right in the middle of this mess. So it looks like I'm gonna be on my own. So I'll just have to find some spots and go out and get her done by myself. Old like what's his name does down down Georgia or whatever.
Oh, Jordan. Yeah, Jordan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess how is that going to change? Like what your plan is? Because before, I mean, we had, Frank calling for us, and it was just, we definitely were benefiting from his ability to call, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll just have to get out there and start scaring them away with my calling, I guess. I'll try. I can call decent. I'm definitely no Frank, obviously, but.
So, real quick, I wanted to say, I listened to Walt's latest podcast, and he had posted some pictures on there saying that he killed his first longbeard, but it was his first turkey. Mm-hmm. Like, that was what was surprising to me. So, congratulations to Walt from the Chasing Tails podcast. But my gosh, like, if I would have known, I'd have sent Frank down to Florida long ago. If I had known that he hadn't killed the turkey, But so I don't know. I think for us, we could just kind of go back to the run and gun style, without a tent, and still keep the 6 feet away. All that, just drive separate, I guess.
Right.
And
well, I mean, yeah. My biggest thing is, getting it on camera for, trying to get our YouTube channel going.
If you haven't subscribed, go over there, Bowhunter Chronicle podcast, YouTube. But anyway, go ahead.
See the old perch tacos, perch eyes.
Oh man.
I was looking at that earlier. We got like 34 views on that one already. Wow.
Hey, that's one taco for every 10 people.
But no, so I've been working on, I've been working on the bow. I got, somewhat, I don't have it fine tuned yet, but that's what I've been I've been trying to get my garage clean. I've been trying to get my honeydew list stuff done, and I want to get the garage cleaned up. I got my Jeep out of there now, and so I want to be able to film it so that way I can, put that out there for our listeners where, they can kind of see me going through the steps. I got to do your bow yet. Obviously, we got to get that done real soon because you're going to be turkey hunting too, but unless you're going to be using that the carbon night.
It's violent. I've been shooting that bow, and I've been shooting it with the silverback, and that draw cycle, everything is pretty violent. It's not my favorite.
At least the string's still on it, though, right?
Yeah, I was looking at the string and the serving and all that, and the cams, and inspecting and re-inspecting the limbs. It's all good.
India.
But
So that, and I've been, playing with the camera gear. I've got the GoPro or the Tacticam mounted. I might have to paint the Hoyt target bow olive drab though, because if I'm going to be out there running and gunning, I can't have like a purple looking bow with shiny black limbs.
well, I mean, you're gonna have. I mean, it could be a trunk, I guess, if you had the. If you're gonna go to Hobby Lobby or go to Amazon now and get some of the leaves to zip tie to
Right.
it, but
It's either that, or I was also thinking about, and I said this before, back 2 years ago when I was building those arrows, I got them shooting great out of my son's bow. He's got the Diamond Infinite Edge Pro, and so I can turn that thing down to 50 pounds, and it goes all the way up to 31 Strawling. So, and he's pretty much done with that bow now anyway. So I could actually set it up for me, and it'd be a great little turkey bow. It's nice and small, and it shoots well. So,
and you can paint that one green. He won't care.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean,
I got a few days yet to fine tune some stuff and get some videos done.
Yeah, I've been thinking about myself, like if it comes down to it, right? You're like, you guys have the early season, you and Ernie, and we did that because we didn't want you to be screwed again like you were last year and just have like a lesser of a season, right? But I mean, if we're going to be all split up and we're not going to be filming for each other, I'm thinking about buying one of those leftover ZF tags and taking the first week and kind of just going for it. I mean, first of all, we're not great filmers. We're not the hunting public or Midwest, not Midwest Whitetail, but we're not them either. But Whitetail Adrenaline, where everything has to be on public land, and we've got a lot of birds and a lot of opportunity on private land, or at least, I mean, we have access to some of that. And if we can kill them, I just want to kill them on video and kind of get through that sort of thing. So, I mean, if we're not going to be filming each other, I'm thinking about just saying, well, fuck it, I'm going to go kill a bird on camera. I mean, right?
Right.
I mean,
well, we've got enough spots.
That's what I'm saying. But you'll only have a week. Well, I guess you'll have that week in June because it'll be split. But I mean,
because they have leftovers for the season that I got.
Yeah, they've got your thing right now. And so the hope is that some of those birds that I feel like we've got in our pocket, you and Ernie would be able to go kill them, and then if there were more birds there, or there were still spots that had birds, just buy one of those and kind of put all our eggs in one basket. But it would be, if you guys killed 2 birds and had them on video, we would be much further ahead than we were last year because we got a bunch of misses and shit on camera. You know what I mean? We'd have at least one killed, so we'd be playing with house money, right?
Right. Yeah. So the ZF hunt for us, or for me, for sure, I took 131. So did Ernie, and that starts April 18th. Mm-hmm. So it goes from April 18th through the 24th, and then if we don't capitalize in that week there, then we get a bonus week basically starting June 1st through the 7th.
Right.
So,
and those birds, I don't know. I mean, right now, and you guys have been doing more driving around and stuff. I mean, I'm still working, so I'm in the building for 9-10 hours a day, and I'm not anywhere where there's any turkeys. But just going back and forth from here, Frank, and then on the cell cams and stuff like that, what I'm seeing is these big groups have kind of like busted up, and I'm just seeing a couple birds come through here and there. And so for Frank or or John or whatever, why is that? Like, is it that they're
That's
starting into the breeding season, or that's getting warmer weather, or
as the flocks will break up as the weather changes. During the winter they're together. And then as spring starts to come in, then they start to get into that mode, where they want to breed or whatever. You see the toms starting to do a lot of strutting now, And I saw that one the other day when I was coming home there from the lake there. Stepped right out onto the road, and I was taking pictures of him, with my phone, and he's strutting right alongside of the truck almost. I didn't even realize that the hen was up ahead, but there was a single hen there, that he was with. So, but and you get still groups of birds like down the road from our house where they're always, in somebody's yard or whatever. But for the most part, I've been seeing pretty good sized toms, all over the place, by themselves. They're just looking around. So.
Yeah, I definitely noticed this last week that they definitely split up.
Yep.
I've seen a single hen today walking around,
Yeah.
single tom, several of them today in different spots. So
that one I saw the other
definitely
day, John, I'll send you the picture of that one. Man, he was a duke.
yeah,
Oh man, dandy. It was just down the road here, a couple miles. So,
well, that
so
day,
I haven't made it up north to where I was, deer hunting, but I'd plan on getting up there too and checking that out.
the spot we have to go back to though.
What's that? I couldn't hear you.
I said, the spot we have to go back to.
Yeah,
is where the two big ones were with the hen that took us away last year. Remember?
right.
Took the toms away. Every time we went in there, it was like every time. It was unbelievable. Yeah, that spot. I want to go back in there and just shoot both them birds. That's all. And the hen.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
well, and for again back to that whole thing of like just trying to get some kills on camera. It's like, my God, they're like all those birds would have been dead with a shotgun. It's just
yeah, every bird was dead with a gun.
Oh man,
Whole different ballpark, man. When you're in a ball game, when you're using a bow.
I know. I guess we just need to get them closer.
Well, I actually, I was just thinking maybe you could pin them a little tighter to the decoy, and then we can wring their necks. That's all.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, how is the old wingless decoy?
Yeah, I don't even know where it is. I was thinking it was at your house. It might be over here.
I think it's in the back of my. It's right there in the back of my vest.
Yeah. Okay.
Say no, it's definitely not here because Frank and those guys used it.
Yeah, it's still in my vest.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I'm again like I'm just kind of winging it as far as this season goes. But I was really counting on you and Ernie tagging out early and then being right on birds and just being able to buy a license, So
Well, that's still a possibility. I mean, like I said, if we just meet up and keep our distance.
Yeah. So what's
not being in
what's the
tent.
rules on that? We can do that, can't we?
I don't know what the rules are. I mean, I heard like for fishing, you can't be in a boat together unless you live in the same address.
Well, yeah, but you'd be 6 feet apart,
Yeah, but so if you're out, that's like today. We went hiking and met up. My wife and I, rode together, obviously. But
I was
then we
going to
met
say,
up
fuck,
with her
that's
friend.
taking it pretty
No,
pretty serious.
And no, we met up with her friend Kimmy, but she rode separate, and then they just stayed 6-8 feet apart their whole way. I went the opposite way than they did. But
well, here's the thing, I mean, like the guys that are fishing, if you're not from the same household, so they can drive separate to there, and as long as they're 6 feet apart in the boat, you know what I'm saying?
is that
I'm thinking
Is
that's
that
what they're doing.
job? I don't know. I don't know if that's a.
I've been fishing by myself.
I heard. Right. I heard that if you have two people in a boat and they come up and they check your license and you have different address, then you're each going to get a $500 fine or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I said, I haven't read the actual rules, but
wow.
I'm not.
I look at some of the boats out there, and a lot of the people aren't going by the rules. You know, lots of people out there. You know, multiple people in boats and stuff. You know, which that's what they're not looking for. You know.
I think you're putting yourself at risk.
You know,
they would be putting more people at risk by going up and checking everyone. Because if one person was sick, then they'd be checking everybody's licenses.
Just the week before that this whole thing took place, or a few days before, there was probably 200 boats at least on Muskegon Lake, and the DNR came up and checked every boat. So I mean, came physically, you know, to our boat, the next boat, you know, which is, you know how close they're together when they're perch fishing.
Right.
And that's what they did. They checked every boat, you know. So that to me is, you know, wrong.
Right. You're upping the exposure at that point.
Right.
Because say the first person that she checked or he checked or whoever, and was exposed, and then they touch it with their hand, and then they pick up the next license, driver's license, or whatever, or, you know, hunting license, fishing license. So be it. Then that person just got exposed, and the next, and the next. You know,
right.
I mean, it's kind of.
And you know, they came in contact with us. You know what I mean? They made sure that our boat and their boat were touching. You know what I mean? When we were right there, and I showed him my license and stuff like that. You know, and then we had to show them, you know, the life preservers, the fire extinguisher, the whole 9 yards. You know. So and the whole time they're right there in contact with us. You know, within 6 feet.
All right. So we are back after a little bit of an intermission there. John was having technical difficulty. But, you know, as far as the way that our seasons are set up and the way that everything is structured, I mean, man, I just hope, you know, that they don't do like a lot of things. I mean, I don't know if you probably got the same emails that I did. You know, Idaho Fish and Game shut down any out of state licensing. There's been a few of the Midwest states for turkeys where they've shut down any non-resident tags. Like if you already had bought one, you're okay. But you know, and then there's been shit going around where people are saying, you know, if you have an out of state license plate, they're pulling you over and seeing like what the deal is. I mean, I feel like I don't know. This is going to be a rabbit hole, but like a lot of that stuff's unconstitutional. Like really, because they cannot tell you like what you can and can't do. In that regard, they like literally cannot. They cannot tell you that you can't cross state lines unless you're a felon or something like that. I mean, so it's pretty crazy that they're going to those sorts of extremes. So hopefully this whole thing will be, you know, what is it now? April 30th is when it's supposed to be.
That's when
That's when they're talking about opening up normalcy or whatever.
Right.
So
Yeah, I know. What was it? Virginia or one of those eastern states said like June 10th.
Speaking of, holy shit, John, did you see the Insta story that Taylor had and what Billy posted? Like,
yeah, that's crazy.
Holy shit! So, if anybody hadn't seen it, it was on his Insta story. I don't know if they're going to have it again, but so Taylor Chamberlain, our good friend, and Billy Phillips, you know, another one of our good friends, Hunt Urban. Definitely check out their stuff. They're, you know, they kill billions of deer every year. But they're hunting.
Billions.
I mean, more than more than I'll kill in my
shit.
lifetime. But what they do, they're on these little pieces of property in the suburbs. They're out in Virginia, near Washington D.C. So they're hunting in their saddles in such a place because of like where they hunt, how they hunt, all that stuff. They're in proximity where they can see their vehicle. Taylor looks over and sees somebody going through Billy's vehicle. He calls him up. Billy gets down. Taylor is able to get the camera swung around where there's a police officer with the AR-15 fully drawn on him, telling him, "Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands." Like,
Where's your buddy?
It's the craziest shit that you can't even believe is real. And it was, that happened to them. And they said what happened is they had a drone flying over with thermals and they saw suspicious activity or whatever. Like, holy fuck. You want to talk about...
Those guys were hunting.
Yeah. They were in their trees.
Jesus.
Right. So define suspicious activity. What the hell? They're sitting in a tree. There's two guys sitting in the tree. I mean, they don't know whose property that. I mean, they had written permission, everything, to be out there. The people knew who they were. They had permission to be parked there, everything.
The cops didn't know who they were.
Right. But so what gives the cops the right to just go onto that private property like that?
That's what I'm saying.
And they weren't, and they asked, was it the landowners or, who called? Right. And they said, no, there was these drones that were up and we thought something was suspicious. So I don't know if everybody's just like tuned up about all this stuff. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So.
Well, I mean, not only that, but to come in with guns drawn the way he did, I mean, and yelling at him. Yeah. I mean, it was like, holy, that's some crazy shit.
Yeah. But the other side of that is, when you just said Virginia and like the things that are going on, it's like, man, that, like I said, it just gets into this like real fucking weird time that we're in because it's like none of that shit. I mean, a lot of this stuff, like technically, it's not a law that you have to. They say that you can't do this, and they say this and that, and that you could get a misdemeanor. But I think really you could fight all of it because it's not the fucking law. It's not.
Right.
But I mean, if you look at like the greater good and all that stuff, and you're gonna risk people's lives or whatever for a turkey or a fucking deer.
Well, that's why I've been doing what I've been doing. I mean, my mother-in-law's living at the house here, and she's definitely a high risk, individual, and so that's why I've been trying to just limit the exposure that my kids. I haven't even get to see my kids because my youngest daughter was still working. And it's like normally, she's going back and forth, and my son, they're going back and forth between my ex-wife's house and here, and my ex-wife's still working. My wife is no longer going in; she's working from home. So it's like, so now the kids, they chose to stay at their mom's during this time, not realizing it was going to end up turning into this. And my daughter's like, "Dad, when can I come back? I want to come home." And I'm like, well, I don't know when it's going to happen with everything. I mean, no one's ever experienced this stuff before. It's kind of like a bad dream, really. I mean, yeah. I was just telling my wife that today. I'm like, can you believe this stuff is really going on? It just seems.
That's why I say I'm kind of beside myself. The whole thing. I've never, all my life ever experienced anything like this.
Well, and I keep telling people, like, I don't know, I'm like we talked about in the last podcast a little bit, but I'm not like a fucking doomsday prepper, but I'm not like not prepared for the fucking apocalypse either. So maybe that makes me a prepper. I don't know, but I just keep saying like it's like another Great Depression, but we have such technology, like the way that we're doing this fucking podcast and like the way that everything is going, like, information doesn't move this fast during the actual Great Depression. Information doesn't move this fast, when there was the Hong Kong flu and all this other shit. Like, so the amount of correct information and bad information that's out there and all that stuff. But one of the things is, like I look at it and I say, well, it's just going to be like the Great Depression. That's what it is. And today we are sitting out playing with my daughter in the front yard, and a fucking like 1935 coupe goes by, and I was like, no shit, like for real, we're in the 30s.
It's the Depression.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just a weird.
Well, I mean, as long as they talk about lowering the curve or whatever, slowing it down. You know, like New York City. I heard him talk about that. It's like basically New York City is like a huge cruise ship. I mean,
right?
Look at people on top of people on top of people. What 70 stories or whatever it is. Huge buildings, and everyone. It's just such close proximity. They end up overwhelming the healthcare system. Where here, if we can just kind of separate it, do our due diligence with the social distancing, and maybe we can just slow it down to the point where you do get it, you'll have the resources to get through it. But until then, I mean, all we can do is just, there's nothing we can do to change it. I mean, it is what it is, so we just have to make the best of it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no there's no solving this, right? So the only thing that you can do is do your best to fucking stay away from people. And I think, realistically, there's no better time to be a outdoorsman, a hunter, a fisherman, and they're getting fucked with a little bit, like you said, with you know, the new rules and like what they're doing with there's a lot of boat launches around here that are even shut down because people weren't keeping their distance or whatever. And again, that's one of those things where they can't really do that, but they have, and nobody has the a good reason, or like you'd be worse off probably to challenge any of that. But as far as like, for the most part, other than when we talk about Billy and Taylor and like whatever, you're talking about people who are most of us are rural. We don't live in the big high rises, and there's not that amount of people and everything. To this point, so I just feel fortunate to kind of be where we're at versus any of the big cities or whatever.
This too, they closed Tippy Dam to fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So this was just last week, because the guys were too close together. Too many people, too close together. Well, maybe those guys should sit back and think about it a little bit. They probably wouldn't have closed it if they'd have been smart.
Mm-hmm.
But they weren't. So.
I don't know. Well, I mean, how many posts have you seen on social media about outdoorsmen? I mean, we practice social distancing all fall usually. I mean, or we do it regularly.
Right.
We try to get away from as many people as possible and just get out in the woods, get by, yeah, we might have a hunting partner or two, but
right.
Or
but how many times do we hunt by ourselves too?
Exactly. I mean, like our turkey hunting,
right?
Like last year, it was either like me and you, Frank,
yep,
or I went several times by myself, go fishing. Yep. Perfect time to get out and do some scouting right now. I mean, there's no rules against that. Get out there. It might be the best deer season you ever had because of this right now.
Could be.
And it'll be a bonus because you're gonna end up having some nice venison in the freezer if it happens again.
Right.
Well, and that's one of the things that I read today. Someone posted a question on Facebook, and they said, what do you think about this being perhaps the best deer season out there? Because you think about the amount of less traffic that there is. That's less car deer accidents. That's more deer population, right? And
Right.
some people who maybe are hit financially with this that aren't going to buy a tag because they were just a weekend warrior or something like that, and they're like, yeah, it's not worth it. It was more of a thing, and I mean, who knows really how long this thing's going to go on? I mean, that would
Right.
be fucked if. I mean, Frank already had alluded to it earlier today, saying that if this thing goes on, you know, too much longer, and they start closing down the supermarkets and there's a soup line, he goes, there's going to be a different kind of soup line over here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Frank and I talked about this when it first started. It's like the shit gets fucking tight. I know I can kill some shit, so
Oh yeah.
I don't need a grocery store.
No,
And when it comes down to it, they can give me the tickets later. So
that's right. Our bellies
Not
will
that
be
I'm-
full.
We got possum stew, we got
yeah.
chipmunk puree.
We'll be.
Oh, I got a squirrel. I shot one of the squirrels, a fat one off the feeder the other day. Not off the feeder, but before he got to it. I'm getting sick of filming my bird feeder, so. But I got a nice fat gray squirrel in the freezer.
What'd you shoot him with?
I shot him with a dirt nap broadhead
Oh yeah.
the first time.
And I
The
know
first time,
I know he shot it before the end of season, before March 31st.
I shot him the first time, and he like it was 21 yards, and he kind of jumped a little bit, and I shot his tail off. And he tried. It was actually his part of his hind leg, and like right through the base of his tail. And so he didn't go very far. So then I grabbed another arrow and put one through his center. But yeah, I got that one, and I had it on the tack cam too, but I haven't been able to review the footage yet. So,
Yeah, so I John has a computer. He has all the stuff to start the editing process. And so
yes, I do. I started editing, but the computer does. It is pretty old, and it needs some updates. If we can, I'm not even sure if we can actually do some of the updates. But
it
it likes to lock up when I'm right in the middle of editing.
will stop filming in 4K and
Did
alleviate
not
some of
film in 4K. That was the little Sony camera that I did the perch video on. So
yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah, we've got John working on it. I've got this this carrot in front of his nose. I say, John, this is what I need from you. There'll be a drone on the way.
Yeah.
That's
I'm working on it. Like I said, I want to get those videos. Like I said, it's tough right now because my wife's working from home, so it's not my normal routine where I can just go and
fuck off.
fuck off all day and then do a couple things at the end of the day and make it look good.
Oh
And she's
man,
probably listening to me right now.
I've worked harder this last week than I have in months. Outside.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is since she's working and I have the computer in the office, and she's in there on conference calls all day, I couldn't. That's why I couldn't get on the computer and try to review the footage of the squirrel and stuff. And I've been trying to clean the garage and hang new cameras and around the house and get the lawn done, all the honeydew things.
I not only blew all my leaves, I blew the neighbor's leaves too.
Andy blew the neighbor.
No, I didn't. No. That ain't happening.
$20 is $20. These times are
That's
tight.
what Ernie would say. You know,
That's Ernie's job.
that's Ernie's job. $20 is $20.
So, Frank, what's your take on how our turkey season is going to go? Because you and I are
We're gonna
in the
kill
same
some
boat.
shit. Is what's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna. We're just gonna. Well, we're just gonna. You know, like I say, have to do it. You know, smart. That's all. You know.
And so, when you say we're going to do it smart, how do you think it's going to fare for us, like third season, like the later season, in the way that we're going to have to do it, trying to do it with a bow? I know you're more patient, you're more run and gun, and you're not. When we talked about it when we talked to Jordan, but you're not the got to be out there to get them off the roost type
No.
guy
No.
in these days. So how are we going to go about that with the trying to do it with a bow? And one thing that we kind of hemmed ourselves up here, or you're kind of fucked, is like, I'm gonna have to be your caller.
That ain't gonna work. Shit. You know, I can still call my own bird, dude. You know, but you might have to distract him a little bit. That's all. You know, I want to get you over there a ways. You know, and just kind of give him the hand signal. You know, so you know he's like, what? I
Give him
really
a couple
think
alarm putts.
I think by putting a Tacticam on my bow now, you know, I think that's pretty cool. You know, I mean, and I can actually, you know, film you, you know, and still call, you know, and I can have an opportunity too to shoot, you know, if you screw up again and
What?
again
Come on,
and again.
you're killing me.
No, I think it'll be all right. You know, I really do. Like I say, we've got enough spots to hunt. You know, Adam. You know, we know, you know, where we can go and where we can't go and all that stuff. You know, so
Yeah, like I said, my thought is, like I said, you're fucked because I'm going to be the caller.
Yeah.
Well, I gotta get him in close for this.
For the big log shot.
Yeah, for the big stick.
Well, unless he's got like corduroys on or something, you know, you could probably shoot him in the trousers. You know.
It's like a bulletproof vest for turkeys. Like if you see one with fucking old pair of work pants on.
That their arrow definitely will do some damage.
Yeah, I'll have to. John sent me a video where he was shooting with the Tacticam, and what I was most impressed with was the shot placement, because he's like talking about like, well, it's kind of shaky, you know, and this and that, and then he walks up there, and the arrow's like right in the eyeball of the turkey. And that's another thing when John talks about like time on his hands and like dicking around doing a thing. Like every single shot that John takes on these simulated targets are like very artistically hand drawn chipmunk or squirrel or turkey in this case. And you know, correct me if I'm wrong, John, but those are the pictures that I get. It's a very like realistic drawing.
Yeah, I drew it.
But
it's gotta have some reality to it. So
right.
Yeah. So before we get off here real quick, because we kind of gone all over the place, but those are the fun ones. I started shooting with that silverback, and I got the poundage set like about right.
You should have saw him when he was in the house doing it on
the trainer.
The trainer. Yeah. He goes, oh, oh.
But I'm getting used to it. It's like, I don't know. I 100% like see what you're saying, because sometimes like it's 100% surprise. Like John like perch 3 ways video, like big eyes, like holy shit, that thing just went off. And
Yeah.
then other times it's like, okay, I'm pulling through, it goes off. But I feel like that not the target panic thing, but like I guess maybe like a little bit. But I feel like in the silverback being a pressure release, back tension release, or whatever, for anybody who's not familiar with it. So when I'm pulling through, like I let the safety off, and I'm confident that it's not just going to go off. And then sometimes I pull, like you were saying, and I think that it should go off, and then I'm like, and then this fucking just goes like wherever.
Again.
I'm trying to make it go off,
Right.
and so that's
Right.
like, how do you?
It'll just come with time. I mean, when you start getting comfortable, that first of all, it's going to be tough with that bow that you're shooting. It's going to be tough with both of them. A little bit tougher than because you have a limb stop on your cam system. So that's like a super solid back wall. You don't have like that valley. Well, maybe you do you might have a little bit more of a valley on the diamond than you do that carbon knife. Because that one is really, like, as soon as you start letting up, it just wants to pull the bow out of your hand. But, so you can get back on that back wall, and then you can check in, like Dudley talks about. You can you'll get that, you'll learn that feel where you can kind of get comfortable settling in, and then take your thumb off. And then the thing is, like, when you start pulling, it doesn't seem like you feel like you're really, like, it should go off. Like, my hand's moving back. Well, at that point, what you're not realizing is your front shoulder is compressing. And I mean, it took me a while to actually, figure that out, like what Dudley talks about in his training video. And so at that point, you want to just let down. Don't forget to put your thumb back on the safety. Let it down, and then, start over again. Put your arms down, and then go, bring your arm up, and make sure that front shoulder stays low and locked in. And then when you get back, then all of a sudden, like, you pull your finger off the trigger, and like as soon as you start pulling, it's going to go.
So when you're saying that check in, I guess kind of like what it sounds like is what you were talking about with Travis, where he pulls it back to the click, and then he knows like he's set. And then what you were saying about that pulling through, and like that front arm compressing and whatever, I feel like my better shots are like kind of like shooting like a hinge, like, because I've seen you do it. And so like when I pull it back and I anchor, instead of like exactly pulling through, I'm still pulling through, but I'm rotating like my pinky, and it's
See, I don't shoot my silverback like that. Only my hinge.
but I feel like that's for me, like when it goes off and breaks like the most clean, like everything kind of works appropriately. I'm not just pulling to pull.
All right, so you're doing more like you're rotating, you're squeezing your hand to get that rotation. Actually.
Yep. But
I mean, as long as that works for you, that's like, but I don't think that's the intention of that release. It's more of the whole back, your back muscles and pulling through it. But as long as here's the thing, as long as you can hold your pin in the area, on the target, and not be holding low.
Right.
With that anticipation, then
do that consistently,
Right, and your focus. And the thing is with that, like I said before, that silverback, you're going to be more consistent, like around the 10 ring, 10 and 12. You're going to be in that, your group's going to tighten up into your main target. You're not going to have the flyers like you did before until you get really used to shooting. Then you'll start sucking them in tighter and tighter and tighter. But you just have to trust that flow.
Yeah, I'm not there.
No, it's going to take a while. The thing is too, like if you just take the sight off your bow and just blank bail, or just close your eyes, just once you close your eyes, you can just feel, you can focus on the feel of everything and like how that release is feeling, you know, your anchor point, and then how your hand is feeling on your face, and make sure your knuckles, you know, your fingers are in line with your hand, you know, the back of your hand, and you're not, you know,
That's how I
make
shoot
it a
half the
fist,
time.
basically.
With your eyes closed?
Close my eyes. Forward back,
Yeah,
close your eyes.
we can see that sometimes.
Yeah. I didn't shoot any wood this year, though.
I didn't either, but I shot definitely the fucking big ass targets above.
You went beyond wood into foam.
Oh man, yeah.
That's
Well,
above and beyond.
Above. Yeah.
So,
but yeah, if you guys have stuck through this podcast this long, I just want to say that I really appreciate it. Or just like I say, these are the fun ones. Just kind of talking through like these strange times and what we're getting ourselves into here, going the next couple of weeks when our turkey seasons start, or have the opportunity to start, I guess. But the question and all that talk about the silverback and all that, I mean, I would be talking with John on a regular basis, and getting some pointers in person, but it's just not the case. So
right.
it's just a crazy ordeal. We will be, when this podcast comes out, so if you're listening to it on Wednesday when it comes out, we're going to draw our first quarter Patreon giveaway. That night, I'm going to go live on Instagram, and like I did last time, and draw the winner. So if you're one of the Patreons, you want to check that out. If you're not, definitely check out our Patreon page. It's Bowhunter Chronicles. Bowhunter Chronicles podcast.com. You can check it out there, but you can go to patreon.com/Bowhunter Chronicles and get yourself into one of these giveaways that we do every quarter. But I think that's all we got for this evening. So thanks everybody for sticking with us, and here's to 101 more, right?
Right on, dude.
All right.
I'm ready.
All right.